I want to talk about some things today. We're going to see if we can push the buttons correctly. I want to talk about some things today. Oh, look at that. I actually have the buttons. Look at me go, guys. I want to talk about some of that cult stuff. I want to talk about it. So, right now, as Pastor Ben pointed out, we have a massive amount of deportations going on. And this was all part of the plan. Project 2025 spelled it out for them, but they can't read. And there's a lot of these people that are kind of like, oh, hold on. I don't know if I voted for that. Well, hold on. I didn't know that my wife was going to get deported. Why? I don't know. I don't know why these people thought that. Somebody else is going to have to educate me on that and explain that one to me. Because I can't wrap my mind around it. I can't figure it out. But there's still also people that are coping. People that they are so brain dead, so brainwashed. The term they use for Marines is they call them jarheads, right? And they say you twist the top off, you put whatever you want in, you take whatever you want out, and then you put the lid back on. That's what MAGA is. And if you take a look here, what we have here is a woman who was detained by ICE who voted for Trump that is saying now, I don't care. She's detained. Literally being detained right fucking now. And she's saying from the detention center, Donald Trump's doing the right thing. He's cleaning up the country. And go ahead and take a look at this. Take a look at this picture. Take a look at this picture. What do you got here? You got indoctrination. You got indoctrination at its finest. This woman was a immigrant who came here when she was 3 years old, who later on in life committed a breaking and entering charge, who then went on to marry and attempt to live her life in a way that I'm going to give her the best faith possible, that was a good life. And how did she repay that grace? She said, if I could have voted, by the way, immigrants can't vote in a presidential election, no matter what Elon Musk tells you, no matter what Donald Trump tells you. The lie is always right in front of your face. She said, if I could have voted, I would have voted for Donald Trump. And as you can see, her husband as well, her kids, the height of indoctrination, are wearing MAGA hats. MAGA hats. In fact, ironically fucking enough, the one kid is wearing a hat that says, "Take America Back." Like, how do you even write this shit? You couldn't, if this was ChatGPT and you asked it to write a script, it couldn't do it this well. It couldn't do it this well. A kid wearing a hat that says, "Take America Back," and his mother had her green card revoked. Now, she was going through all this stuff, right? She was actually going through the process to legally reobtain a green card. So let's read a bit about it. She says, she would have cast her ballot for Donald Trump. She's a devout supporter of the U.S. president, even now that she's locked up as an illegal immigrant. He's doing the right thing because lots of these people don't deserve to be here, she says. I wonder if she's talking about criminals. I wonder if she's talking about people who committed breaking and entering. I wonder how she would feel if she was that young woman that made that mistake. And right now, not just Donald Trump, but half the country was rooting for her to never get the chance to do the things that she did while she was here in America. I wonder how she'd feel about that. She says, I will support him until the day I die. He is making America great again. Now, of course, she's wealthy. Of course she is. 60 miles away in her home in Diamond Bar, a wealthy suburban city in eastern Los Angeles County, a Trump flag flies over the family's front yard. MAGA hats adorn a shelf next to a family photo album while the family's pet bird chirps in a cage. Just more irony keeping a bird in a cage. Just so you guys know, I'm not with keeping birds as pets. I know some of y'all are like, fuck this guy, I got a bird and I like it. I told you we ain't gonna agree on everything. Let that bird free, man. It was meant to fly. Let it fly. Says, it's a lively home with 3 dogs and 4 young children. And her mother and husband are bleary-eyed and exhausted with worry, trying to put on brave faces. Our home is broken, her husband says. So it goes on to say that this is an American success story, a prime example of how the country gives people second, even third chances. Her mother wells up with tears as she talks about her daughter who has lived in the U.S. since she was 3. She had a rough patch many years ago in 2008 when she was convicted of burglary and grand theft and was sentenced to 2 years in prison. An immigration judge revoked her green card, which is common practice, but because she is a Christian Armenian Iranian, the judge allowed her to remain in the country instead of being deported. I wonder how this woman feels about Abrasio Garcia. I wonder if she thinks that he should get the same grace that she did. I wonder if this woman can respect the irony of not giving any due process to a man and then sending him over to a concentration camp in El Salvador. I wonder how she feels about that. She goes on to say, we are Christians. She can't go back. There's no way. That's what her husband said. Because she'll be persecuted. She'll be persecuted by Iranians. He fears her life would be at risk if she was sent back. This is a photo right here of her being confronted by ICE in her front yard. First of all, how lucky is she? She got a phone call. She got a phone call, and then they showed up to her house and they detained her and sent her to a detention center. How lucky is she that she wasn't chased down by men in masks that are driving in unmarked cars? How lucky is she that didn't happen to her? She gets to go out and talk to him. Why? Why did she get to do that? Because it turns out if you got enough money, just like Pastor Ben was saying, you can hang out. Well, you can't hang out for too long. And just like what Pastor Ben said, that's going to happen to all these people. They're working their way up the ladder. And if you think you're safe now, you ain't going to be safe later. It's just, they're just working their way up the ladder. They want to hire 10,000 more ICE agents to get to a point where they can deport your ass to. They just don't have time for it right now. Okay? The plan isn't just deportation. I said this the other day. I said, they are getting rid of people in low level, low skill, low education jobs. Why are they doing that? Why are they doing that? They're doing it because they want to cut the social safety net out from under American citizens that they can't deport, that they don't want to give health care to, that they want paying more taxes and buying more shit. And what did that ag secretary say out the other day when Donald Trump heard a good idea from his ag secretary? She said, how about we give amnesty to these farmers, their workers, because these farmers are very upset with us. These farmers are upset that we're getting rid of their labor and it's all falling apart. And Trump said, oh, that's a good idea. How about we don't deport those ones? Because Donald Trump's not a very smart person. He's the owner that steals the ideas from the employees, right? That was a great idea. Thanks to me for coming up with that. And he said, we're going to probably give amnesty to these people. What happened? MAGA said, no, you're not. No, you're not. Why? Because I was wrong about something. I said that Trump could do anything and his followers wouldn't stop following him. But I was wrong. I was wrong. Because Donald Trump can do anything that is evil, anything that helps to instill anger, anything that helps to instill fear, and his base will follow him. But if Donald Trump even ventures to tip a fucking toe into the pool of giving anybody a pass, helping them to have a better life in America, they will actually revolt against him. And they did. And what did Donald Trump's ag secretary say? She said, oh, there's not going to be any amnesty for any of these people. Just so you guys know, don't worry. Don't freak out, guys. Don't freak out. We're not going to give amnesty to these brown people. Okay? All right? Stop it. Just stop it. Stop being mad at us on Twitter. And who did she say was going to take those jobs? Who did she say was going to take those jobs? She said we got a bunch of people that are living in their parents' basement that are playing video games that can do those jobs. And we don't really need to get into the whole hypothetical situation of if this person even existed, which they don't. And if they do, they exist in very small amounts. But we don't need to even get into the hypothetical situation of what it would look like to take a 35-year-old lazy dude that plays video games in his mom's basement and stick him out in the fucking fields. This is the plan. This is the plan. First, they deport the people underneath so that way they can free up jobs, so that way they can force people to work, people that shouldn't, that can't work, that need Medicare, that need social safety nets. And why? Why? Because they want your tax money, because they want you to buy more shit, because you're a consumer, and consumerism is the perfection of slavery. But if you don't think that they're going to work their way further and further up top, then you're wrong. Because another part of what that woman said, that ag secretary said, was we're going to use automation to replace some of these people. And guess what? Guess what? The jobs that get replaced by automation are factory jobs and white-collar jobs. You think they want this woman? Do you think they want her taking up space that they could have one of their people in? No, of course not. So if you think you're safe, you ain't safe. If you're Caitlyn Jenner and you're like, over here on MAGA, I can be transgender and I can talk mad shit about other transgender people and I can get away with it because I don't give two shits about the left and MAGA has embraced me. Well, guess what? At one point or another, when they finally give in to MAGA and they have ChatGPT print out an Epstein's client list, guess who's going to be on that list? Because they're going to need a sacrificial lamb. They're going to need a George Santos. George Santos get a pardon, guys? I haven't heard anything about George Santos getting a pardon, guys. Why not? The Chrisleys got one. George Santos has been a loyal dog for these people. A loyal dog, shit on his own people, lied about everything. No pardon. If Caitlyn Jenner thinks she's safe, well, just wait until that ChatGPT Epstein client list comes out. Okay? And fucking bookmark this. One of them's going to be on it. Brown folk, black folk, LGBT folk, you ain't safe. They have a big ass party that's going on right now, and you weren't even invited. You just showed up. And they're willing to let you hang out for a minute. But when they get the chance, when they have the numbers, your ass is gone too. So right now might be the best chance for most of those people to maybe tone down the rhetoric, maybe look for a way to get back into the crowd, because at one point or another that door is going to be closed. So more with this lady. So since release from prison, where she had broken into, committed grand theft, she started a successful business and family among hundreds of thousands of Iranian immigrants who call Southern California home. West Los Angeles, often called Tehrangeles, has the largest population of Iranians outside of Iran. Some, like her, have been detained in recent weeks, swept up in immigration raids that have put the city on edge, while the majority of those detained in LA come from Mexico. Daily updates from the Department of Homeland Security show immigrants from seemingly every corner of the globe have been arrested. How many white people have you guys seen? I saw like one dude from like Norway. One dude from Norway. And it is in their best interest to sell this. They could have said, hey, look, you guys say it's nothing but brown people, but look at all the white people we're doing. Nope. Nothing. Zero? Of course not. Because it's like that one Norwegian dude got caught up. They were probably confused as to whether or not they were supposed to detain that man. They probably showed up to that man's court hearing, were looking around, they're like, where the brown folk at? Wait a minute. The white guy? Oh, we got to do the white guy. Oh shit. Oh, okay. Sorry, sir. Sorry. Turns out you got to go. Trump was elected in part because of his promise to launch the largest deportation program of criminals in the history. Her mother and her husband still say they believe in that. They say they have faith that she will be released and believe that only hardened, dangerous criminals will actually be deported. That's what she thinks. She thinks that she's gonna get out because she did her crime in 2008. That's what she thinks. While many of those detained do not have criminal records, she is a convicted felon, which makes her a prime target for removal. ICE, of course, did not respond to the request. No way. Her husband says he doesn't know the details of the burglary. They barely spoke about it before they were married, and then he forgot about what he considered a youthful indiscretion by his wife. Instead, he focused on his wife's good deeds over the last 17 years, volunteering with the local school district and bringing food to firefighters and police. We all make mistakes, he says. Like I said, I'd love to be a fly on the wall when Abrasio Garcia's face is pasted on Fox News and this man is watching it. I'd love to see that. I'd love to hear what his opinions on that. What does he think? Because I guarantee you, I can tell you what he thinks. I can tell you what he thinks. And that is, no, that's a violent criminal. Oh, you don't know that though. Do you know anything about the man? Well, yeah, I know everything Fox News has told me. Well, what do you think Fox News would have said about your wife? In 2008, when your wife was arrested for breaking and entering, what do you think they would have said about your wife? I'll tell you this, it wouldn't have been she deserves a second chance, a third chance. Nah, that's not what they would have said. And that's definitely not what he was saying. I guarantee you when he saw Kilmar Garcia. So when ICE phoned her June 30th, as I said, she got a courtesy call. She lives in a nice neighborhood. As the family was having breakfast, the couple thought it must be a joke. But immigration enforcement pulled up to their home 30 minutes later. Despite signs all over Los Angeles County urging immigrants to know your rights and not open the door to immigration enforcement agents, the couple came outside to speak with officers. Because they thought they were different. I'm sure she told him, I would have voted for Trump. I would have. I love him. Let me show you my MAGA hats. They have a flag with fucking Trump's name on it. You ain't the right color. You ain't the right fucking color. It's that simple. She explained how a judge had allowed her to stay in the U.S. because of the situation in Iran, as long as she didn't commit any other crimes, and as long as she frequently checked in with immigration officials. Her last check-in was April. She showed them presenting her paperwork. This is the exact same story as Kilmar Garcia. The same thing. The man was arrested for loitering, mind you, not breaking and entering, a crime a lot less than what she did, for loitering, and then got the same deal. Don't do anything else. You get to stay here, check in with immigration, and you can work your way towards citizenship, which is 100% what should happen. She deserves that right. He deserves that right. Every single person in this country deserves that right. The immigration enforcement agents told her circumstances had changed and they had a warrant for her arrest. They allowed her to go back inside and say goodbye to her children. That is crazy. How many of these people being ripped off the street were even given that? None of them. Zero. That's a rhetorical question. So we thought what we'd been seeing on the news, flash bombs, cornering cars, Arthur says, they didn't want to risk her being violently detained, possibly with their children watching. She came and kissed the kids goodbye. She came outside like a champion, he said. Here I am. Because you know why she's so fearless? Because she still believes that she's not like these other immigrants. These other immigrants are criminals. They're bad people. They're the ones that give us all a bad name. That's what she believes. That's what she believes. That's why she came out like a champion. Or else her ass would be running just like the rest of them. Or else her ass would be getting tackled just like the rest of them. I knew my kids were watching from upstairs, he said. I didn't want them to see their mom handcuffed. So they took her to the other side of the car to handcuff her for these people. That's what having a Trump flag in your yard gets you. She says those being held at the building she was brought to were treated like animals. This is how much these people lack empathy. She sees how these people are being treated in these detention facilities and calls it like being treated like animals. She said she was held in a freezing, brightly lit room with 28 other women for 3 days. They survived on snacks and 1 bottle of water a day. She says the women huddled together for warmth and slept on the floor. Because she speaks 3 languages, Armenian, Spanish, and English, she was able to communicate with many of the other women and says they helped each other. Well, you don't say. Like a little socialist experiment in the detention center. 3 days later, she was moved to Adelanto, the privately run ICE detention center in the desert northeast of Los Angeles, which has a reputation for harsh prison-like conditions. At least she didn't go to Alligator Auschwitz. But she says it's much better than what they faced in downtown Los Angeles, now having 3 meals a day, access to showers, and a bed. Though she's heard it's difficult to get medical treatment if you need it, she is young and healthy. Like, mind-fucking blowing the lack of empathy that a person would still believe that Donald Trump is helping anybody, knowing the conditions that these people are being forced to deal with within these detention centers. And yet she's sitting there like, I'm better than you are, I'm gonna get out. She says it's still very challenging. She and her husband say they still have faith in the Trump administration and believe that she will be released. I'm not deportable to any country. Go ahead and ask Kilmar Garcia about that. Ask him if that stops anything from happening. But that hasn't stopped immigration officials in the past. In February, a group of Iranian Christians who had just crossed the border from Mexico were deported, but to Panama, not Iran. She remains hopeful for a reprieve, but she notes that she felt discouraged too. She says she loves America and that she feels American even if she lacks the paperwork. She calls her husband collect once an hour so they can share updates on her legal case, though so far there isn't much to share. The older children understand what's happening, but their 4-year-old daughter keeps asking when mommy is coming home. He says all 4 children are U.S. citizens born and raised in California. For how long? For how long? These are the people that want to see birthright citizenship taken away. Does this woman understand that the very process that Donald Trump wants to make law, wants to make it the law of the land, is to remove her 4 children from this country by taking away the very birthright that the 14th Amendment has given them? No, she doesn't know that. She doesn't know that because these people are in a cult. She says, I have 4 citizen children. I own a business. I own a property. I own cars. All right, that's weird flex, but okay. I haven't done anything wrong in so many years. Yeah. This is the level of ridiculousness that is going on right now in the Trump cult. And the reason I want to talk about this is because, like I said, you don't got to agree with everything I say. Sometimes you might be like, this angry ginger's mean. I don't like how mean he is. I don't like how he makes fun of people. I don't like how he insults people. I'm okay with that. Not everybody should be mean. I am thankful that all y'all motherfuckers aren't just like me. We need some angry gingers and we need some Pastor Benjamins. We do not need a nation of angry gingers. It would be like Highlander. It would be like Highlander, guys. I'm dating myself. It'd be like Highlander. There can be only one. There can only be one. And believe me, we'd go around taking each other out. That's what would happen. That's what would happen. It's already bad enough. You get 2 gingers together. There is tense. There is drama. We can only get along for so long, and that usually involves some type of beer. All right? But the craziness of the MAGA cult, the brainwashing of the MAGA cult, to think they're going to do this, but not to me. they're going to do this, but I won't be affected. They're going to take America back. From whom? When they say take America back, who did you think they were talking about? The trans? Is that who you thought it was? Is that who you thought it was? No, they're taking it back from you. Because you aren't the right color to make them feel comfortable. Because when you are here, the only reason they ever want you here is to work the jobs that they don't want to do. And you are now taking up the jobs that they think these people that are on Medicare, that they can't deport yet, Trump's working on it, you're taking up those jobs. So you got to go. You got to go to free up those jobs for these people. You know, Trump's working on getting the rest of these people tossed out of here. The American citizens. It'd be great if we could get rid of the homegrowns, he said.